Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, KLIXcast and Jill Skeen.
And good morning and welcome to Top Story, 7360300, the number to call. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Kelly.
Oh, my. Well, I had to get up early this morning, so, I might not
Oh, is that why you look so grumpy?
Yeah, it is. And it was a late night last night, too, so,
You're not used to those early morning hours anymore.
Not anymore.
What time do you have to wake up now,
I got up at 3 this morning.
Oh, my.
Usually I get to sleep in till 4:30.
I know.
But,
do you think you'll be able to sleep into a normal hour at the end of the year?
Oh, absolutely.
January 1st?
Yeah, sure. My normal routine would be to stay up half of the night and then sleep in the morning. That's the way my body works. But I've always had a job my entire life that was just the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Instead of getting up in the middle of the day and going to bed in the middle of the night, I have to get up in the middle of the night and go to bed in the middle of the day.
And Connie's sort of a night owl too, right?
Oh, no, she's more kind of normal. She just sleeps
She's
a lot.
normal.
Yeah.
She's okay.
But at any rate, hey, we've got Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall and Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanting, who will be coming in to join us at 9 o'clock this morning. We will be talking...
Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just reading my phone here.
Oh, my gosh. We're doing a live radio show.
Oh, that's what we're doing.
So for everyone who called in yesterday about City Hall, this is the time to call in and ask them questions.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you want to hear it? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, it's just a good way to air it out and see what everybody is thinking on this City Hall issue and get it resolved and move on to the next item.
Well, when you're not going to have a public hearing for the city on this is probably your only opportunity to ask and get questions back. You can write letters to the editor, you can write op-ed pieces, you can do all that, but this is the time you can ask questions and hear answers.
And that'll be coming up at 9 o'clock.
Right.
In fact, they're our only guests today.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of time to talk about lots of stuff.
Yeah.
And there is lots of stuff to talk about today, too.
Mm-hmm.
First, we have to set something straight. Was it yesterday, I think it was? We told you, actually it was Jill, more Jill than me.
Why am I always
told you
for
a
this
bald-faced lie. It was a lie, I tell you.
What was that?
It was this kid from the Queens,
Yo!
this Mohammed Islam.
Wait, let's precurse to this 1 second. I think you found the story and emailed it to me, and I'm like, wow. Okay, go on.
Anyway, a Queens teen said a viral magazine story portraying him as a stock market whiz was all made up.
I am shocked.
Yeah, you know that story we told you yesterday about Mohammed Islam from Queens, New York. His name, I guess he's a senior now. Anyway,
try to pronounce that high school name.
Stuyvesant.
Stive, I would say Stu. Okay, anyway,
No, it's
Stuyvesant.
It's
really?
I'm sorry, it's Stuyvesant. Stuyvesant. Stuy.
All right.
Yes, I know that one.
Do you?
Yeah, but anyway, aside from that, he claimed he had $72 million that he had made during his lunch hour in high school since fiddling around with penny stocks since he was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he said that he partied hardy with all of his friends and took pictures of his girlfriends on Instagram and ta-da, and had a brand new car that he can't drive yet and rented an expensive apartment in Manhattan and all that stuff. And he's not even 18 years old yet. Well, it was all a lie. He lied to the New York Magazine. So, and the New York Magazine did not vet this kid.
Well, I'm sorry.
Enough,
yeah.
apparently.
Well, didn't the reporter, I saw some comment in there, I read the story that, they said they showed him his bank account, statements. I'm like, really?
They must have been made up then because it was a big lie. And
well, no, I like the great part of the story. He said, well, I did it on... You can do it like fake, whatever. What is it?
Yeah, you can do. They have like trial programs or simulators. He did it on a simulator.
So in simulation, he did really well.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure Tom Brady does really well too when it's not in a real game. At practice, I'm the best. Well, maybe Johnny Manziel, who had a horrible game this week, but man, you should have seen me at practice. I was awesome. I'm sorry. I thought we still had reporters and journalists in this country, but you tend to think we don't because it sounded too good to be true, and guess what? It was. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes things are too good to be true, and they are true. Like, truth is stranger than fiction. But where do you do your homework?
Well,
Do you not ask his parents? Did you not directly ask his parents? Because they quoted his parents.
You're right. I think you're right when you say that. Do we have any reporters or journalists in this country anymore? I think a lot of, I don't know if they're learning this in college or what, but no, we don't really have journalists anymore. We just have people who, well, I think most of the journalists we have anymore are bloggers. Anybody can be a journalist anymore. All you got to do is start a website on the internet and call yourself a blogger.
Well, I don't think those are journalists. I mean, my nephew went to journalism
no, they're not,
school,
but
and
they call themselves
he's an
that.
anchor, for a news station. But honestly, I think those people who are bloggers or write stories or want sensational headlines, and you see that every time on the websites, they'll have a sensational headline. You read the story, it has nothing to do with the story. Come on, do your homework. Why didn't you interview his parents?
Yeah.
Well, they talked about school. How did he get away to go for $400 caviar and orange juice? Really? That doesn't even sound good.
I don't know. So anyway, it was all a big lie.
Sorry.
Don't believe everything you hear, I guess. Huh?
I don't know what website you got it off of.
I always thought before you could put it on the internet, it had to be true.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
Oh.
What's happening in this country? Anyway, okay, so that's a lie. Now, here's something else, though, that may not be a lie.
What?
Possibility of evidence of life on Mars. Could have been found by NASA's Curiosity rover.
Really?
Yeah.
Did find the jelly donut?
Well, when we say life on Mars, a lot of times we have this idea that, the camera spotted somebody standing in front there waving, and with a sign that says Kilroy was here or something like that. But it wasn't that dramatic. However, mysterious spikes of methane that cannot easily be explained by geology or other theories have been found by an instrument on that robot, which landed on the planet in 2012. Scientists can't be sure what is causing the spikes, but it is possible that it could be very small bacteria-like living organisms. If the gas is coming from living microbes, then it could mark one of the biggest discoveries in history.
Wow. Well, didn't they also say that and maybe, I don't know if we heard about this on the show, that there was a possibility that they had found water, or they thought water was on Mars. So if you have water, you can have life.
Yeah, well, they found ice is on, my understanding, ice is on Mars.
So, there you go. Now you got gas. What are the poor little living microbes eating? Poor things.
Yeah, there you
got
go.
methane even on Mars.
Now, there is a very interesting situation that has come up. Perhaps you've heard about the hack that happened to Sony Pictures here in the last couple of weeks. It has caused Sony stock to drop about 10%. It has exposed a lot of what you would consider secrets, some of the things they were working on, and it has really been a big deal.
Well, they hacked into Sony's website. They've gotten social security numbers. They've got of all sorts of people, movie stars, whatever, what they make, emails about people, and it's all in response to this movie that was done called The Interview.
Well, here's a story on that, and listen to the ramifications of this. A theater in New York has canceled the premiere of The Interview after a group that claimed it hacked Sony Pictures posted a threat against people who go watch the movie. On Pastebin, a website that allows for anonymous posts, hackers claiming to be the guardians of peace
Somehow that seems...
said people who see the Sony movie would suffer a bitter fate. The Interview is a comedy about a plot to kill North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. We will clearly show it to you at the very time and places the interview be shown, including the premiere, how bitter fate those who seek fun in terror should be doomed to, the hacking group said.
Wait, what? That doesn't make
I
sense.
know.
Wait, what?
I know.
What did you just say?
Okay, I'll read it again.
Thank you.
We will clearly show it to you at the very time and places the interview be shown, including the premiere. How bitter fate those who seek fun in terror should be doomed to, the hacking group said. The world will be full of fear. Remember the 11th of September, 2001.
Well, that's all you have to say. Ooh.
Now,
and so now they've canceled all the press tour.
Yeah.
So
they have. The premiere was scheduled for Thursday at Landmark Sunshine Cinema in New York. The interview remains set to be released to theaters on Christmas. While Sony doesn't plan to pull the movie, the company has indicated it won't object if theaters decide not to show the film,
Really?
according to a person close to the situation. The New York Police Department said earlier that it planned to have police on site, as well as additional forces for rapid response in case of an emergency, according to the agency's deputy commissioner. So they said, we will continue to evaluate the threat. It's actually not crystal clear whether it's a cyber or physical attack they are threatening.
And don't worry, with every ticket you get like a bulletproof vest to go with your popcorn and a helmet.
Well, look at this now, what's happening. Now hackers, whether there's any merit to this or not, hackers are now threatening terrorist acts in this country to alter people's intentions of seeing a movie. So now, I mean, this is something new. We've never had this before. So now we're being threatened. If we go and see a certain movie, we could be blown up, essentially, is what it's saying.
Okay,
so we are being threatened. We are being sabotaged by hackers.
Well, threatened by hackers. I mean, so what do you think Sony should do? So what do you guys think? Would you go see the movie? Should theaters pull the movie? Are you then doing exactly what they want? I mean, their statement, after you reading it, everyone probably went, what? What do they mean? Like, what should you do? Should Sony pull the movie? Should movie theaters pull the movie? Is this theater here going to show the movie? We actually thought, yeah, it'd be funny to see the movie.
Yeah, I think it would be great.
I guess he doesn't have a sense of humor.
Well, I see two things here. One, either somebody is just seeing how far they can go with this thing to get away with it, or the dinglings in North Korea are really ticked off that someone had the audacity to make a film, a comedy no less, about the murder of their great leader Kim Jong-un. You know, the funny little fat kid with a funny haircut.
I wonder but I wonder, now think about it, if another country did a movie about assassinating our president, would we think it was this funny? Because the way you just put it, I'm like, that would be interesting. Anyway, what do you guys think?
Great point. 7360300.
Should they pull the movie? Should they not?
And would you go?
I actually want to go.
I want to go too. I'm more apt to go now than I would have.
Yeah.
7360300 is the number to call here on Top Story this morning. 324-3341. You hear that number a lot. You also hear 280-1167. That's Pat Hartzell with Stanley and Company. And he can arrange so you can see the Lowen Honey Loader in operation. If you need one of these individual pieces of machinery which loads all types of manure, liquid, frozen, or dry. Now, if you just have, a little, a few cows or something like that, you probably don't need something like this. But around here we have a lot of big feedlots and dairies. And the Lowen Honey Loader could be a real asset to that operation. So get a hold of Pat Hartzell, and he can fix it up so you can see one in operation. His number, again, is 280-1167. And it's Pat Hartzell with Stanley and Company and the Lowen Honey Loader. Okay, so now we've got hackers, whether they are doing it a purpose or not, or just playing a joke and seeing how far they can go. Now we actually have hackers.
Well, hackers and terrorists. I mean, really, they're combined. Yeah,
they're actually one and the
Yeah,
same.
they are.
You're right.
They're not just hackers. They're now threatening and
you're right, because they broke into Sony and they stole, like you say, a bunch of
very
personal information. They're disseminating this information, and now they're saying that, well, if anybody who goes and sees this movie, The Interview, which is about the assassination of Kim Jong-un of North Korea, if you go see that, we're going to blow you up, essentially is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So would you go see the movie? I certainly would. 7360300, Top Story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Now you know that the world is really upside down when a group called the Peace Group is threatening to terrorize people because they say there was terrorism on a video. That's ridiculous. So they're winning if they've already shut down a couple theaters for it.
Right.
So they're already winning in that way. But you got to watch out, Kelly, too, on that other story about Mars.
Yeah.
You don't want to advertise that too much. The EPA might go over there and try to look for those cows.
That I know. And in fact, I did think about that. When I was reading, I thought, man, do I want to mention this and send the EPA off to Mars? Actually,
I think you probably
really,
would.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. Actually,
Rick Perry, wasn't that one of his three? Well, I don't know. He couldn't quite remember.
Yeah.
Which agencies? But what do you do? Do you give in to these terrorist threats or not?
Yeah. Would you go to the movie and do you think they should not show it? 7360300. Top story. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have 3 words. Straight to DVD. I mean, I'm not into messing with people. It's like that one woman, remember, I think she was from Washington State, had Draw Mohammed Day. Well, she's in hiding now. Do you remember this? Draw Mohammed Day.
Oh, Draw Mohammed.
She said, hey, if everybody in the world draws Mohammed, because you're not supposed to give a representation of Mohammed. Oh. And she said, if everybody does it, well, they put a jihad out on her, or whatever they call it.
Did they really?
Well, wasn't it Salman Rushdie, too?
South Park people have got problems because they did a Mohammed episode. Right. Don't mess with them. Why would you mess with them?
Salman Rushdie, wasn't he? He was in hiding for like how many years? Maybe he's still in hiding.
That cartoonist in Denmark got blown up in his driveway.
Did he actually get killed?
Yes, he did.
Oh, my.
Would you not go to the movie then because of that?
I'll wait for the DVD.
Well, the thing of it is, though, it's not going to the movie. If you were a theater owner, would you show the movie? Is a bigger question.
They don't want to take the liability. I read there. I wouldn't take the liability if I was a theater owner. If you want to, I don't know. If you want to make a statement and you're a theater owner, I'd do it with a lot of disclaimers and big signs that said, "Hey, you come in here at your own risk. These threats have been made." If you're a theater owner and you want to make a statement, you need to make sure that your clients know that they're making a statement also, because you're making a statement to go to this movie. I believe this is wrong, but the safe thing to do is, we need to follow up on this and get these people, but we shouldn't be taking. I wouldn't take a risk of going to a movie at all.
Huh. I would.
That's interesting.
I would take her. I'd go to the local movie theater.
You think they're really going to find a theater? What are they just scouring to see all the show times from everywhere?
I'll tell you what they've done. If nothing else, if this is a legitimate group that is against people seeing this movie, they have literally guaranteed the success of this movie.
Well, if anyone sees it, shows it.
It's like he said, though, when it does, if and when it will come out on DVD eventually, they'll probably scarf that thing up. They probably won't be able to make enough copies of it.
But then what a statement. What is this now? This is what's going to happen. But like I said before, now, would we be happy if another country did a movie and a spoof or whatever, really on assassinating our president? How would we feel about that? Would we sit there and go, wow, that's odd?
The current president?
Oh, stop. Any president. I mean, really, how would we feel about that?
I'm going to say they probably already have. I'm saying
what is it? But I mean, if there was a big movie like that out, would we all be sitting there going, "Oh, that's so funny. England has a great idea. They're going to assassinate our president. Wow, that's a great movie." We got to think about this. Would you? Maybe it's pretty serious. You think about it. It's a threat here. If you even say you're going to threaten the president, you go to jail.
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
Well,
maybe they got a point.
That brings in another side to the story.
There always is.
7360300. We'll be right back. 7360300 was the number to call. Okay, the phone is running over, and I think a lot of them are saying, yes, there already has been a film about the assassination of a president, and it was about the assassination of President Bush. This is from the Washington Post. Goes back to September 2nd of 2006. Nearly every British newspaper on Friday carried photos of the assassination of President Bush, or rather, the eerily realistic depiction of it from a new documentary-style TV film that is causing an uproar in Britain. The film, called Death of a President, has been alternatively derided as a tasteless publicity grab and defended as a serious look at a plausible event that could have dramatic ramifications for the world. So
well, then, then they have equal, so they're upset about it, and apparently, I somehow missed that back in 2006. I don't know.
I remembered something about it when we were talking about it, but I didn't know enough about it to say anything. So,
but I mean, people were upset. So, do they have right to be upset?
Well, sure, they can be upset. Does that give them the right for?
No, of course not.
Terrorist threats against us.
No, but
nobody did that back then with Bush.
Maybe because they didn't know how.
In 2006, are you kidding?
8 years ago, a lot of things changed.
Well, that still
your phone isn't the same as yesterday, so there you go.
7360300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you
there?
You
gotta turn off your radio.
I don't think there's anybody there. So anyway, give us a call and let us know if you would go see this film.
Well, actually, not even go see it as a theater owner, because you can't see it if they don't show it. Would you be so worried?
But if they did, would you? Would you be so worried? Now, I would think probably in a larger city.
Oh, yeah. You think Twin Falls, Idaho?
You would be more apt.
Who knows if they were even... Let me see if they even had it on the schedule.
All right.
We will see.
You do that. And top story, you're on the air. Good morning.
I'm going to go to that movie just because they did that. I don't normally go to movies.
Yeah, see, that's why I would, too. If somebody told me I couldn't see that, that's just the way humans are. You tell us we can't do something, so automatically we want to do it.
And the guy that called in, I'd say, remember what they used to call people, summertime patriots? The guy that called in said he wouldn't go because he was afraid.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Anyway.
I never... Okay.
Never heard of summertime patriots?
No, I haven't.
It was during the Revolutionary War when everybody deserted during the winter.
Oh, yeah. So they fought when it was nice and then deserted in the winter.
Yeah, you got to have weather, to fight in. Can't tax yourself too much. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Did you ever think, and I can't even believe you didn't even think this or say this out of hyperbole, was, maybe this was Sony's way to get more people to see the movie.
Oh, it did cross, absolutely. And it wouldn't, although if that's the case, it was at a heavy price because Sony stock has dropped 10% over this little debacle.
Well, you wonder
if unless they maybe just weren't counting on that, I doubt it. I don't think so.
Come on,
because there was too much information
it is.
That was released.
It's scheduled, you guys, on Christmas.
At locally?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, really?
The times are 1:30, 4 o'clock, 6:45, and 9:30.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah, you get done opening presents and eating all that food, you can go to the movie that afternoon.
Well, sure.
7360300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. You got me on?
You're on
the air, so keep it clean.
Well, I'm going to keep it clean. I'd go to the movie anyway. I don't care what they say. Hey, I'm an ex-Army Ranger. Bring it on, buddy.
There you go.
All right. Well, it is going to be playing Christmas Day, and that's when it opens.
Yeah.
So,
although you know that cowards like that, I mean, they would, if they were to follow through with something like that, it would be something that they wouldn't be heard at, but they could blow the place up or something like that. They wouldn't show up and want to fight. They don't operate like that.
Well, I understand that, but then the other thing about these so-called lone wolf Islamists that are gonna do some stuff here in the United States, like the lone wolf thing in Australia.
Right.
I got the same message for them. Bring it on, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, I know, and I think. What's that?
I carry.
Well, yeah, and a lot of us do, and yeah, I agree. That's the kind of stuff that just gets us all riled up, and we're that way, Yeah, bring it on. Come on. Hey, you want a piece of me, huh? And it's the whole routine.
Yeah,
but,
whatever. Okay.
But no, seriously, and that might just be. This could all just be somebody, some little pimply-faced kid in his parents' basement seeing how far he can go with this and doing these things and has no intention of doing anything, and he doesn't. A lot of times these kids, when they do, and I say kids, not all of them are kids, but when they do this, they don't realize all the laws that they are breaking and that they can really get in serious trouble like this. They just start doing this, and then they think, oh, gee, I wonder how far I can carry this. And then pretty soon they're bragging to their friends.
I don't think so.
And then pretty soon the FBI is knocking on their door.
No, I think this is a pretty severe hack with Sony. I don't think it's some pimply kid.
It doesn't have to be the same people who did the hack.
Why would it be the interview of that movie? I mean, who cares?
It doesn't have to be the same people who did the hack. It could be just some independent person thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna get in on this and run with it."
I think North Korea hired the Russians because they're so mad at us that their gas is plummeting. Yeah. I think that's my thing.
Now the ruble has dropped by about 25%. So yeah, you're
right.
They got problems
sanctions
in Russia.
Didn't work. Wow.
We'll be right back. 7360300, the number to call here this morning on Top Story. And the folks at Clearwater Power Equipment want you to know they've got chainsaws. And with Christmas, sneaking up on us here. And Hanukkah, we're right in the middle of Hanukkah.
Hanukkah started last night, baby.
Yeah, see, I mean,
come on.
Guys, you could get your wives a new chainsaw from Clearwater Power Equipment.
Tom got me a sweater. I'm so disappointed it wasn't a chainsaw. I have to cut vegetables.
Well, there's still time. Aren't there 8 days in Hanukkah? I have to cut vegetables,
don't I? Come on, those asparagus stalks are tough.
Aren't there 8 days in Hanukkah?
Of course.
So you still got time.
Tom, you got 7 more days.
That's right. To get to Clearwater Power Equipment, get a chainsaw
for Jill.
That would be funny.
I want it in pink.
So if he got you one, would you let him use it?
What am I going to do with it? We don't even have trees. Yeah, I would probably let him use it.
Okay, well, there you go. See, guys, that's how it works. It's like buying your wife a new shotgun,
Did you hear what I said? I wanted it in pink.
I know. I heard what you said. And And I don't know if
Is he going to use a pink chainsaw? I don't think so.
I don't know, but I do know they have them. And I do know if you need a chainsaw, they've got Husqvarna and Echo chainsaws at Clearwater Power Equipment. And they are there for you. They got the sales, they got the service, they got the knowledge, they got the know-how. 252 Washington Street, where General Building Supply used to be. You're looking for something specific, give them a call at 734-7767. Clearwater Power Equipment. I'd like to have a chainsaw. I would like it if my wife bought me a chainsaw.
No, I know. Actually, I was looking at this headline in a picture: cats versus Christmas trees in epic holiday battle, and they just have this cat in midair going right for the tree. How many people have cats that just chew their trees up? Anyway, go on.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to get you off on a rabbit trail.
No, it was a cat trail. Okay.
No, another story I wanted to talk about this morning, and this is kind of interesting. It's no secret that the F word is New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady's go-to word when he gets frustrated during games. And I've seen this before. I've seen him. I've seen coaches. I've seen everyone. Yeah. You can tell what they're saying even though you don't hear it. You know?
You can read their lips.
You can read their lips. It's pretty clear what they're saying. As a result of the quarterback getting caught on camera yelling the F-bomb multiple times this year, the Federal Communications Commission has received several complaints. The complaints, however, were not focused on Brady. They were more about the fact that the networks continued to show the quarterback while he was letting off steam.
Right.
So really, who is to blame here?
I mean, you can't blame them. They're playing a game and they're intense in what they do, but who's showing it is really.
And I'm
come on.
I'm thinking that probably the TV networks are thinking, well, as long as you can't hear it, you're just seeing it. Can you hear it when he yells it?
Of course you can hear it, but the same thing happens with Tiger Woods. You sometimes you hear it. I mean, they have microphones at the tee box, but people have complained about him. Jim Nance has complained about him, saying stuff like that. But, you have to say, okay, well, whose fault is it? Don't show it. Anyway, I digress. But, really, people are people. They're playing an intense game. Yeah, people say things. Is it right? I don't know. But who's actually televising it?
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point. I think sometimes they capitalize on that, thinking that we're kind of on the edge of the envelope. But as long as they can't hear it, maybe we're okay, and they go ahead and show it, and you can tell what they're saying. So, I don't know. 7360300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm appalled. What? We can't blame them? We can't blame them? These are grown people. They are responsible for their actions. We can blame them for anything they do. I don't care how heated the game gets. They are responsible for themselves.
Well, we say it in our lives as well. But
I've
if
never
we have
said it in my life.
Well, good for you, but people do say it, and if we had a camera on us all the time, I'm just saying, you know what?
But he knows he has a camera on him.
I think that's why he does it. I think that's why they do it.
They're on the sidelines talking to their people or whatever. Come on.
I don't care. If he knows he's being televised doing this, he is responsible. If he is out in the middle of the woods all by himself and nobody sees him, nobody hears him, he is responsible. You are responsible for what you do. I'm responsible for what I do. He's responsible for what he does. Nobody's to blame but him.
Well, fine. Same with coaches then. Same with everyone. I mean, my gosh, same with Tiger Woods. But you know what? I'm sorry. It happens. And I think it's also to actually put a camera on someone like that, they do it on purpose.
Well, I agree with that right there. Just what you said.
They do it on purpose.
And I agree with the caller that they are absolutely responsible for the things they say.
I'm not saying they're not saying it.
But the thing of it is that I think that the TV networks are capitalizing on that and using that, thinking they're going to get away with it, but actually they might not. And then this kind of jolted me about something that's been happening on Facebook. I am it galls me when I see people use the F word on the social networks like it's an everyday word.
Yeah.
I can remember growing up maybe this was my upbringing, I don't know, and I'm not a prude, but you know what? There are some things that, and I have to say, I do lose my temper once in a while, and I say things that I'm sorry for later, but I don't use many of these words in my everyday language like some people do, and it's like if your IQ is so low that you can't get your thoughts out without using some of these disgusting words, then maybe you should go back to school and learn vocabulary.
No, I agree, and I am shocked that they can put that on Facebook. I mean, I'm surprised people are allowed to curse on Facebook, and it really is. Well, I find it disturbing.
That would be a free speech issue. Facebook would be they would be overwhelmed with lawsuits.
Right, but the FCC, but I mean, they're contacting the FCC. We can't say those words on air, and you can't say it on TV.
Right.
And they bleep them, but you know what they're saying.
Sure, yeah. But I have defriended people on Facebook because sometimes I just get tired of that. Oh, and when you go on there, it's kind of like going into a bar. You're going to hear and see some things that, might be a little distasteful to you. And so you realize that when you go in places, but it just kind of gets to the point. It's like, come on, people. Are you so stupid that you can't get your point across without swearing? It's like these comedians that we have today.
I know.
They're up there on every other word is the F word. And I'm sitting there and I think, you know what? Tell me something funny. Don't just tell me something disgusting.
They use it for shock value, and it's harder to be funny. It's hard to be funny clean. And I've done stand up, but you can write a joke that's clean, and it still be funny.
Can, absolutely.
You just have to work harder.
And the F-bomb is not shocking anymore.
No, everyone uses it.
Because everybody uses it. It's like an everyday word. 7360300 is the number.
Oh no, come on.
I know. We'll talk on this one. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You know what's even worse in my mind is when radio announcers and talk show hosts say freaking and frickin'. We know exactly what you're thinking. You're not fooling anybody.
That's true. Well, but,
you can't say something else. You need a little vocabulary lesson.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So every time you say frickin' and freaking, we all know what you're thinking.
I don't think we...
Do you use those words?
That? No.
You don't?
No.
Congratulations. Oh,
well,
that's cool. No, and that's a good point.
But
I understand that.
I understand that too, except I don't know if we ever use that, do we? I don't remember.
I've used it once in a while, but I haven't used the F-bomb. And
on radio?
Actually,
are you kidding me?
I think there is a difference between freaking and that and the F word, because you freak out. So does that mean I can't say freak? Because you do freak out.
Yeah, you do.
And that is a legitimate word. So I don't know. No, I don't think that's a legitimate complaint. I don't.
Well,
if you're thinking that that's what I'm thinking, then maybe the problem is with you and not with me. So that's something to consider too.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, but you can't say it. There's a lot of words you can't say on radio.
I think there's.
But
those
are words that I wouldn't really say to make a point anyway. When you have to curse to make a point, then really, what's your point? That's not helpful.
Why can't you make the
when
point
you call
without
someone
cursing,
a name and say you're such a jerk or a ... instead of discussing what the problem is? How is that helpful?
Yeah. 7360300, top story. You're on the air.
I got 2 points. Jill, are you going to stay on the radio after Kelly leaves?
I don't know. Why? What would you like me to do?
Well, you do what you want to do, but I know if you do stay on, the radio station needs to be notified that 88% of the listening audience will follow Kelly out the door.
Oh, I don't think so.
You know what?
I don't think so. No.
Whatever.
No. I'm just.
What was your second point? That was the first point. You cut off the second point.
I hung up on him. I'm sorry. I forgot. No, I think Jill makes the show.
Well,
if it wasn't for you, Jill, I don't think we would have the success that we have.
Well, thank you. And
I'll go on record saying that.
And you just did. And I don't think people's eyes would bleed. I don't think you'd expand your mind. I think it's good, healthy conversation to have both points of view. And
Absolutely,
I think you can have a good discussion, and it makes you think. And what is wrong with that?
7360300, top story. You're on the air.
Hey, Jill, I rarely agree with you, but I want you there.
Well, thank
you. You add something to the show.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
You have a lot of fans out
I
there.
do. They like me. They really like me.
And you know what? Jill and I even have lunch every once in a while.
We do. We're going to have a lunch on Monday.
Steve Millington's going to join us.
The three of us.
Yeah,
the Three Musketeers.
I was going to say the Three Stooges, but Three Musketeers is okay too.
Well, I don't know which one I am in the Stooges, so there you go.
7360300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Jill and Kelly. This is Pat.
Good
Pat,
morning.
How are you?
I don't agree with Jill all the time, but as a lady, I love her. I love her to death. She's a sweet gal. She has her mind in the right place, and whoever replaces Kelly is going to have some awful big shoes to fill.
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks.
And but I think I don't always agree with Jill. Sometimes I'm yelling at the radio, but my wife does that to me too.
Absolutely, yeah.
But Pat, you keep listening, don't you?
Yeah, but I never stop listening.
Yeah.
You're just waiting to see what she says next.
I just say keep it up.
Well, thanks, Pat. And we always appreciate you listening and calling in, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And back to Facebook. I'm only on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter, and although I can barely keep up with Facebook.
Oh, I know.
I'm kind of one of those old fuddy-duddies that the technology is kind of overtaking me, even though I kind of consider myself a techie guy.
Think how many hours a day people spend on Facebook.
I know,
it's like,
and that's
I
another
have
thing.
a life.
Right, exactly.
I have a life.
But I'm going to be more aggressive in unfriending folks who use the F word all the time, because it's
always shocking to me on Facebook when people do that. It's like, do you not
I'm
realize people
tolerable.
are reading this?
I'm pretty tolerable.
But you know what I'm saying? Do you not think people are reading this?
Yeah, and you hear people now that they're just out in public and they're using the F word like it's just another word.
Oh my gosh, my Tom. Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable to him.
We're from the generation that that was an unspoken. You never
well,
said
and then and he was in the Marines, but also he said to say it in front of a woman and stuff, like he is not happy when you say that, and which I think is great.
So and they're going to have an issue. It looks like this is going to be an issue that our television networks are going to have to.
Maybe here's a newsflash. Why don't you just keep the camera on the game?
Yeah.
Because I know you're interested in all the ones having a temper tantrum, which a lot of them do. Well, why don't you focus on the plays? That would be nice.
See if we get a top story. You're on the air. You got about 10 seconds.
Eliminating football altogether wouldn't hurt my feelings. I find it interesting that you're discussing the F word on Hump Day.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what?
I
didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that. But I'll tell you what, we're just about out of time here. Coming up, we have Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall and Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning. We're going to discuss the decision of the council to build City Hall in the Banner Building, and they met with legislators this week. We're going to find out what they discussed with them and find out what's going on in the city. That's all next right here on Top Story. And welcome back to Top Story, 7360300, always the number to call. Welcome back, Jill.
Thanks, Cal. Same to you.
We're just sitting here talking about old cars, and I wish I had my 57 Chevy back that I sold many, many, many years ago. I was still in high school, I think, when I sold that. And I still regret it.
I would hope so. My gosh.
Oh, well, anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll have to talk about that on my last day.
Yeah.
We can talk about anything we want then.
Yeah, like I said, I sold my '69 Camaro so I could finish my last year of college. So
yeah, well, at least you sold it for a fairly good cause.
Wow.
I sold mine because I wanted another car.
Yeah.
We have with us this morning Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall and Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanting. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning we're going to talk about, we want to start off talking about the decision that the council made to use the Banner Building as City Hall. And I know you met with legislators too, and we want to get into that a little while. But I just want to start off the conversation by saying this. We've had a lot of conversation about it on the air. We've had a lot of people call on the show and wondering why the decision for the Banner Building was made. And I just mentioned yesterday, it seemed, just as an outsider looking in, it just seemed to me, and perception is reality, unfortunately, but that's the way it is. It was my perception that it was kind of a rushed deal, and there was a preconceived idea that the Banner Building was going to be the one. So how would you, and I'm not the only one that believes that, so how do you answer that?
All right. I got the point from
You
the
gotta get the
mayor. So
talking to the mic, Greg.
Yeah,
You gotta.
when the mayor points to you, go ahead and talk.
There you go.
I'll be honest. I had the I had toured both buildings before, and I'd certainly, obviously been around the Latham property, and that was the three that the committee was honing in on, and I recognized some issues with the clinic building, and I, as well as there some issues with that we explored on the Banner Building. I think we went forth with an effort on the committee to see what they would say, see if they were having some of the same thoughts I was having. Let's put it that way. And I stayed away from all the committee meetings on purpose. I did not want to be there for ever have anybody think I was trying to determine what they would come up with. And we've been looking at those options for probably a year, so it doesn't feel rushed to us in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it feels like we've done our due diligence. We've looked at the situations. We all have I think, at least I had a desire to help downtown. That was my purpose. I mean, I remember way back when we took a glance at the County West, where County West is now, and as a possibility, and we just got raked over the coals by anybody who was in favor of downtown. So why would you ever think about moving? You can't move from downtown core, and then the county got to move out there seemingly without any, just like, oh, they're moving out there. And so I'm not sure what the difference there was, but I took a look at the committee. I wanted the committee to tell me what their thoughts were, and their thoughts ended up being the same as mine, so I was ready to go.
Well, I had one question, because you were the one of the council members who brought up the fact that there shouldn't be a public hearing. Now, I know you guys have dealt with this a very long time. However, the public hasn't, and that meeting was a notice given on Thursday or Friday for Monday night, and the agenda wasn't accurate. I mean, it didn't say there was going to be presentations, and there wasn't. It was the last second. But why did you feel like there shouldn't be a public hearing? I mean, shouldn't the public have a say in such a huge purchase and something that they're going to have to deal with for generations to come? And that to me is disturbing.
Well, I guess it comes back to the fact we've been dealing with for a year. I've talked to everybody I could think to talk about during this past year. Everybody downtown. I've talked to citizens. I've talked to family. I've talked anybody that wanted to talk about that issue. I was willing to talk about it. That's kind of why we had the committee. To be honest with you, the committee was kind of hey, if you have an interest in this, I mean, really, Jill, but think about it. If you have an interest in this, we allowed you to be on the committee, and you're not even a citizen of Twin Falls.
And it might be soon. I mean, it just
so,
depends on where the boundaries go. But the point is, a lot of people don't have that time during the day, 11:30 to 1, and that's what it was every week. But still, once the decision was made, which we have it was. Why not have a public? It would have been so awful to have 2-week notice so people could have a public meeting. Because the people I've talked to, not one person has ever said to me, and we've gotten calls on the show. Oh, the Banner Building's great. Not one person. People have said, even after that meeting, we were going to do an interview. An old man came up to us and said, "What are you talking about?" And then he said, "Well, what's wrong with the old clinic?" I mean, I've never heard. So to me, I think the public should have at least had a say in it.
Can I weigh in?
Sure, go ahead, Don.
Just to let you know, give you my perspective. You have 7 individuals on council, obviously, and we come from this at different directions and different backgrounds. We started looking for facilities and ideas to alleviate the issues with staffing and space needs years ago. When I first came on council in 2006, we were looking at potentially building up City Hall. So I do know that 3 years ago that we had a chance to be able to go to the clinic because it was obvious that the county was going to be selling that. They were going to be moving to County West, and we toured that facility. And I got to be honest with you, my first response was, yeah, this might be perfect for us. The square feet, the setup, where it's located. But I got to tell you, from the get-go, once I toured the facility, looked at the dynamics of it, looked at how much remodeling would need to take place, looked at the sheer size of it and the cost of trying to maintain it, and then people talk about, well, potentially you could lease that out. I don't believe government needs to be in the business of leasing out property. That is private industry. That's private sector. Their job is to do that. We should not be competing with them. Plus, we wouldn't have any real control of who we could lease to. There could be, as long as they're legal, they could lease a facility, and then that almost shows that we are in support of whatever entity would lease. So early on, I was a proponent of the clinic until I walked through it. And
I've actually toured it twice.
But let me finish. And then when the concept of potentially the Banner Building, I was not a fan of the Banner Building. I thought, no way. I looked at the exterior. I looked at where it was located, and it took me a while to come on board. I looked at the structure. We found out the structure was, man, the bones are solid. You couldn't build that building today for the cost we're getting it for. And then I saw the potential, and it made sense to me.
We got a caller. Let's go ahead and take that. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Question I got is where's everybody going to go in that building? It's not as big as the one you got now.
I'll answer that.
Yeah,
it's actually 42,000 square feet as it sits now. Looks like we can bring it up to about 45 with a little bit of work inside. So that's well more than what we need right now. It's probably a 30 to 50 year solution for the city, and the clinic building is actually more like 120 year solution for us. And so we've already analyzed all of that.
But I had one question. At the first meeting of our committee, Travis mentioned that maybe the school administration would move into City Hall. So it wasn't just renting to private things. Just like County West, they have a lot of, the VA, they have different agencies that are in there. It could have gone in there as well. So we were under the assumption that you could. And the money for $4.5 million for the Banner Building right now is only for 30,000 square feet. We didn't have the numbers for the entire build out, which you're going to have to do. So to me, no one gave us that number, and 30,000 square feet is not, in my mind, going to be enough. I mean, right now you're in 18,000, and you're scrunched, and then you're going to add city council chambers, which are 3,500 square feet. Maybe, and I assume you'd want to increase city council chambers, so you say 5,000. So now you're at 23,000 square feet. So you're telling me that the city would, for 7,000 square feet, that's going to solve all the space needs, all the filing needs, all the conference room needs. I am sorry, but in the city, you haven't done a space needs assessment to really know what space you do need. So that's I agree with the caller.
I've heard the space needs assessment come up a time or two. Was that done?
Internally, by staff.
Okay.
We didn't have a outside agency come in and take care of it. We looked at what we have, looked at what we felt we needed, and and to piggyback on some of the things that Don was saying, I toured the clinic building twice, and both times I toured it, I was not impressed. I could see all of the changes that we would have to make. I also knew, when this was from one of the county commissioners, and I don't know how accurate this is, they were paying $70,000 a year to heat it. And some of those numbers like that, pretty quick, if you go tour the building, if those callers, if Mr. Waddy would allow them to, go tour the building and see what your thoughts were, because it certainly didn't look like any place I wanted to move City Hall. It looks fine, better on the outside, I agree, but give us a chance here on the vision of what we're going to have for what the banner building is going to look like on the outside when we're done. We're going to make it an asset to the community. There isn't any doubt in my mind. So
we got another caller here. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Two things. I think having the citizens committee on this was pointless. I think that you guys' mind was made up beforehand, and it was just an afterthought, and I think it makes you guys look even more foolish than normal. With that said, why was there a vote taken before the presentation by the gentleman that owned the clinic? And I'll take your comments afterwards.
You're going to ask the committee. This is a citizens committee, and I know there's been some comments made about that citizens committee. They are a group of citizens that cared about this project. Citizens, they're not elected officials. And they took their time and they poured through this, and when the final vote was made, it was a 17-5 vote. Okay? That's democracy in action. Why they chose not to have Mr. Waddy make his presentation, I've had some give me some feedback, but they really should answer that. But they said they had enough information.
I can answer it.
Mr. Waddy was there to sell a building. I get it. If I was Mr. Waddy, I'd be there to sell a building too if it was mine. But he was selling a building.
I was a little concerned on why we didn't have, if we were going to have Mr. Waddy there, why didn't we have the owner of the Banner building there to sell his building? Because to me, it was the sales. Don, I thought, because the committee was to make a recommendation. The final buck always going to stop at the council. We had to make the final decision. And Don, as the mayor, decided to let Mr. Waddy speak. And it was a salesmanship job. Some of those facts in his presentation, I do not believe were correct. They were certainly different than the information we had from the professional architect. He was trying to compare the County West building to that building, and there's no comparison. The County West building was built with movable walls. It was built to be moved into any configuration you wanted to have it be cheaply. That was the way it was built originally. And there's apples and oranges try to compare.
Well, I can answer that question after the break, because I was in that meeting before the meeting. So I can tell you why the decision was made, and I still don't understand why.
And we have Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall and Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning with us this morning here on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX. 736-0300 is the number to call here on Top Story. Welcome back. Yesterday's $100 instant winning name in the word of the day, which is brought to you by the Happy Landing Restaurant, which I'll be going to tomorrow for my ham radio lunch. And if you tell them that Kelly and Jill sent you and you haven't been there before, and you purchase a drink or a meal, they'll give you a free piece of pie.
Nice.
Right. Yep. And it's homemade pie. I keep stressing that. Homemade. This isn't the pie that you would get at the store.
Do they have a lot of pies?
They do. They keep a lot of pies. Yeah, they have 5 or 6 choices generally, So.
Now they have to keep more, because I think people are going out for pie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that's the Happy Landing Restaurant at the Twin Falls Airport. Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Frank Fisher.
Frank Fisher, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is Rudolph.
Rudolph.
Yes, like that reindeer with the red nose.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he was in the history books and everything. So anyway, you go to our website, newsradio1310.com, click on Word of the Day, type in Rudolph, Rudolph, and then you listen tomorrow. And if you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, you win $100.
Rudolph.
What
if you misspell it?
If you misspell it, it does allow you some leeway.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So. I won't say how much.
Don't worry, Greg. Yeah.
I was just wondering. He was very specific on.
You were a teacher, right?
He was very
English, maybe.
Very specific on the lettering, and I thought, well, maybe you have to spell it right. That's going to eliminate people.
It gives you a little leeway. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, that's at our website, newsradio1310.com. Okay, we have Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall. We have Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning. So, Jill, you were going to make a point here.
Well, the caller asked why the presenters weren't allowed time to speak at the last meeting. And, at the start of this process, we were told, gather any information from Travis. I was told, gather any information you want, talk to whomever you want. we want to make sure you have all the information. I was told that repeatedly. And after each meeting, and we were giving really no directions. We really weren't at the start of the process. We weren't told how you're supposed to do this, how you're supposed to do agendas, open meeting laws, whatever. And my recommendation to you, which I said next time you have a committee, maybe you should go over that at the start. In the first meeting of how you're supposed to do, how to do motions. I mean, maybe you're just used to everyone who's always been on the same committees, but I've never been on one. Greg Paulson hasn't been on one, so whatever. So afterwards, we were told we had to get agendas. At the start, you have to have an agenda 2 days before the meeting, figure out what's going to happen. So, and after each meeting, we'd get an email from Leila, what's going to be on your agenda, and then we would say whatever was supposed to be on it. Well, after the meeting before last, people came up to me and said, because we did have the city architect, talked about the banner building, so when you say, was Bob Gillespie really the one who should talk about it? It was really, we've had the city architect tell us about the figures on the banner building because you did hire him for due diligence, and we did the tour and he was talking to us about that. So people asked me if we could have, he also said why the county moved out, and he said it was because the cost was too high, but apparently that wasn't true. So anyway, people asked if we could have the county speak, and the numbers that were provided on the clinic were from 2008 numbers for a full gut of the clinic, and it was for the county needs, and so people wanted up-to-date numbers, and Eric had listened to the meeting before, and he said these numbers aren't accurate. I'd love to present. I have my architect that will come. He's worked on County West. He worked on the old clinic for the county. He worked on First Fed. He has an idea of what numbers are. These aren't accurate, and those were old numbers. So when the agenda came about, I emailed Gary and Greg and said, people asked me to have Terry on. Terry wants to talk about this, or Terry's going to talk about this. Eric's going to talk, and his architect's going to talk about this. And so, and then Gary wrote back and said, I'd like to do a summary before the meeting of everything. And I said, well, why? First of all, we've all been there, but I think we should do it after the meeting. Plus, we were supposed to have the person on the phone. I don't know if he was on the phone. I never heard him on the phone. Talk about the parking study that was supposedly just came out by OTAC, which was told to us that they were going to be at our meeting. She was told by Travis that she's going to be at our meeting. So anyway, I thought it was important. I didn't understand why you're going to have a discussion beforehand. And next thing I know, the agenda comes out that's the first item on the agenda prior to the presenters. And I said, I don't understand this. We don't have the right numbers. And Gary Garnan said, well, these are the numbers we've been using throughout, so these are the numbers we're going to use. Well, I'm sorry, but 6-year-old numbers is not in fully gutted. So I don't understand. And at that point, they made a motion to vote on the banner building. At one point, I said, can't we have our presenters speak? And they said, you'd have to table the motion. And then the committee voted against tabling the motion to have our presenters speak. And that's what happened, and there you go.
May I state something? You talk about the city's architect. It's really important to understand that Hummel Architect was hired by the city to do analysis for us. It's also very important to understand that Hummel Architect was the architect for the county as well. And so they have an intimate knowledge of the county buildings, including this the clinic, the clinic. So they are a non-biased group, a business that we hired to give us some analysis, and that's what was presented to the committee. They have no dog in this fight.
Are they not going to get the job for the banner building?
We don't know, but let me tell you that. But let's say they did, and we chose to do the clinic. I would submit to you that they would stand to make more money on the clinic because it would be a robust refurbish. So if they had any bias or dog in this fight, they probably would have went with the clinic.
But the numbers were...
7360300 is the number to call. Welcome back. And the folks at Canyon Pawn want you to know they're not only the newest pawn shop in town, they are also the cleanest. And they've got, that is kind of a big deal because you go to, a lot of pawn shops, a lot of stores, as a matter of fact, that are not all that clean. And, you think, well, I don't want to go in there because I don't have my work clothes on today. But at any rate, that's not the case at Canyon Pond. They have lots of guns in there. They got jewelry. They've got watches. They've got rings. They do pawns. So if you're needing a little extra cash for Christmas, that would be the place to go. And I know that Dave Hansen and his crew would love to see you come in. They are on Shoshone Street. I try to move them around all the time, but they are on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota, and they would love to have you come in. Okay, so given the last segment, anything that you gentlemen would like to say before we go to the calls?
No.
Okay, so let's go ahead and try a phone call here. Top story, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to point out that some of this decision-making about where to put City Hall isn't just about the building. Because I'm betting you could make the hospital building work. You could make the Banner building work just fine. But there's also a possibility of what the future is for economic development and what impact the placement of City Hall will have. And I would argue that in conjunction with what URA is doing and working with OTAC and the city of Twin Falls, all working together, putting the Banner building in downtown can provide a bit of synergy with what's going on down there. The possibility of making Hanson a through street that could be more pedestrian friendly, but also allow that to maybe kind of, in a sense, take the place of Shoshone in some way and kind of making it kind of a newer center of downtown. I think there's a lot of huge positive externalities, to use the terms, that could come from this. And so I just wanted to point that out. And I think that a Banner building is a much better location in terms of the economic impact that the placement of City Hall will have. And I'll just listen to your guys' comments on the radio. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Certainly weighed on my decision. I'll be honest there. The location of the Banner building was part of the equation for me. There isn't any doubt on it. When I got on the council in 2005, downtown was deader than a doornail. It truly was. And at that point in my mind, it was almost like, why are we worrying about it? It's so down to this point, and people don't want nobody goes down there and different things. And why are we going to even worry about it? It's past repair. People on the council, including our mayor right beside me, convinced me differently, and I started to get on board that downtown was important, and downtown was something that every city has to make sure that they're doing what they can to make it the best they can be. And then as the ball started to get rolling, we just want to keep that ball rolling quicker. And so, yes, it was part of my decision. There's no doubt about it, to make that corner something that the citizens can be proud of. And because the plaza that the URA and the Rotary and the Foundation is talking about doing, with a splash park in the summertime and an ice skating rink in the wintertime and all these different things, just continues that same synergy that the private sector, to be honest with you, is one who has carried the load on that so far. And I'm just hoping that we can make it something that every citizen in Twin Falls will be proud of, and that it'll be a place that you think about going to first instead of going out to a mall or going out to a strip mall or going to someplace differently, because those are always going to be there. But something you could have proud of in your heart of your city.
I'll make my comments real quick. I think the full city is very important, every aspect of the city. But there's a special soul to the downtown, and I feel that our city offices should be in the downtown. So certainly that weighed. Certainly I believe that this is continuing that ball rolling with economic development downtown. We have companies like the hospital and St. Luke's and their billing department, and Glanbia and others that have made incredible investments downtown. Will's Toyota, incredible investments downtown. I think this just continues that. So certainly it weighed on my decision process.
We got another call. Top story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I would just like to applaud the City Council on respecting the decision of the committee. They don't have to have committees, and in the past they just simply rely on city staff's input, and also for reinvesting in downtown. If you take a look back at like the Tom Hudson study and the Center and Edge plan, this all goes in with what's been planned. And honestly, the City Council has taken a lot of heat over the years for not taking the advice of their consultants, but this is exactly what the city is doing, is going back to those books and doing what the consultants have asked them to do.
All right. Hey, thanks for your comments. Well, I'll tell you what, I think we beat this to death, and we got one more. Can you stay for one more segment?
I can.
Sure.
Okay, because we got, I know you met with the legislators this week. We want to talk about what that all was about. So we'll be right back with Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning and Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall here on Top Story. 7360300 was the number to call here this morning on Top Story. We are back with Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall and Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning. Okay, so you did have, I know this goes on every year just before the new session of the Idaho legislature, and you met with local legislators this week. What was decided? What do? Do you give them a wish list?
Well, I think you more outline of the economic condition of the city. You talk about some of the things that we're having to do that is affected by what they do, because they always talk about unfunded federal mandates.
Right.
We kind of feel the same way every once in a while on state unfunded mandates to us. The one I'll hone in, I'll let Don talk about some of the other things. We showed them a comparison because the whole state's been talking about the roads and how we're going to fund the roads, and showed that 10 years ago, it was about 2/3 of the money that we spent on city roads was coming from outside sources. And now it's about 25% comes from outside sources, in other words, from the state or from the highway district, something like that. So now we're spending, the costs of continuing to go up. The amount of money we're receiving has stayed stagnant. So we have to make up the difference, and the place you make up the difference is in property taxes. That's the only place we really have the chance to make up the difference on those roads. And so now we're spending about $5 million on roads a year, and we're collecting a little over $1 million. And 10 years ago, it was like we were collecting a little over $1 million, and we were spending less than $2 million. And so it was, or a little over $2 million. So that's how that dynamic, and I know that's forefront on their mind anyway, because they're trying to figure out how to fund the state roads, but that becomes a part of ours. We're part of that formula as well. And then how we're not telling them how to fix it. We're just telling them that there's a problem.
Needs to be fixed.
Right, because it's just a transfer. It's a transfer. The state's not taking care of it. It comes down and ends up being a city property tax issue.
We have a caller. Top Story, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm a little late for this topic, but I just wanted to put in my 2 cents worth about the Banner Building becoming the new City Hall, and I am just astounded that anyone would go for that idea. To put it on Main Street, you talked about a lot of other new buildings, but they're all in a part of Twin Falls where they had some room around them for parking, for landscaping. We have an opportunity to build a brand new building for our growing city, and it's going to be right on Main Street, right from Main Street into the door. No landscaping, no nothing. If there's asbestos in there, which I heard there is, I might be wrong, we're going to have a lot of extra expense. And why no one would have waited for current numbers is beyond me. And that's my comment.
All right, thank you. I don't know. Did you want to give any other further comments on that?
I just back to my one. Let us have a hold back on the vision of what things could look like on that corner when we're done.
All right.
I'll weigh into the legislators
right.
coming to our meeting. I love Maxine Bell because she stated it very well. We don't want to do harm. This is the legislators. And you know, I always really appreciate our local legislators, and I said this that night, that they're a phone call away. When we have issues as a citizen, as a city, as a county, we can get a hold of our local legislators and they can work on issues for us. And so I'm really heartened by that. One of the areas that we did talk to them about is the URA again, and the ability, the URA and tax increment financing is the only real tool we have for economic development. And I know that there's always scrutiny on that every year with the legislators. Because there's been some perceived issues with that in other areas. But we try to just really drill down. Listen, this is the only thing we have. The reason we have a Cliff Bar, the reason we have a Chobani and some of these other economic developments, or a big part of that, is because we have that ability. That's our only tool, really, for economic development. And when it comes down to it, what's more important for our citizens than to have well-paying jobs for them? Okay. And that's one of the areas that we did talk to them about, and they're very receptive about that.
And there's one of the ones of statistics in the newspaper as far as property tax base, because school bonds and things like that are separate from that. I think Giovanni's paying 11% of that school bond is they pay directly out of their property taxes. So how important those large industrial taxpayers are, that eventually when we get the URA portion of that done and that tax increment financing has been taken care of, it'll lower everyone's taxes. And that's kind of every citizen in the city of Twin Falls, well, for that money, every citizen in the county, their taxes will go down because of that plant paying the amount of tax. They're paying $214,000 of taxes a year right now to Twin Falls School District.
I know there was some talk some time ago about with the sales tax, we might collect a lot of sales tax here, but we didn't always get all that back and went to the state. Has that been resolved?
No, that's still the formula. It's in my opinion, it's an archaic formula. It's not what you pay comes back to your community. It's a whole different formula than that I think needs to be reevaluated and updated.
We collect. There's $1 billion worth of retail sales in the city of Twin Falls per year. Think about that.
Wow.
$1 billion worth of retail sales, and we get the sales tax back on probably, 10% of that or 15%, something along that line.
Wow.
Yeah. So
who gets it? Somebody else,
it goes
obviously.
to the state. The state keeps it. It helps operate the state, obviously.
And there's a formula of how they give it back that doesn't take in consideration where it was raised.
I see. Okay. Well, we are out of time. I want to thank Twin Falls Mayor Don Hall, Twin Falls City Councilman Greg Lanning. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
All right, thank you.
Happy holidays.
All right. Time now for the Huckabee Report. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed, Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger, financial advisors, and the number is 736-6563. One other thing I haven't talked about yet this morning, and that's the infrared Baron. Actually, I don't think I've talked about that for a while.
I don't think so.
The infrared Baron are these overflights that they do at Far More of Idaho, like during the summertime when your pivots are going, your irrigation system is going. They can fly over your fields in airplanes or drones or whatever they use, and they'll take infrared pictures of your fields. Now, infrared photography shows up a plethora of things that you wouldn't normally see in just naked eye or regular photography. You can tell where the dry spots are, where the wet spots are, and then you're going to think, I need to make some changes here. So you make those changes, all of a sudden you're getting more crops, your yields increase, therefore proving that infrared Baron and these overflights don't cost, they pay. And they can tell you all about it at Far More of Idaho, and the number is 324-3341 and at farmoreofidaho.com. I don't know, Jill. It seems like Friday.
Oh, it seems like beyond Friday, to be honest with you.
Well, tomorrow.
I am drained, I am burnt out, and I am tired and disgusted. That's all I can say.
Well, there you go. We have coming up tomorrow, we have the Cops with the Bad Guys. We're going to be talking to Sergeant Dennis Pullen. He had some things he wanted to talk about, and then I had some things I wanted to talk about.
We have Randy Quigley pumping
Randy
documentary.
Quigley
what is that?
has put together a documentary on high lift pumping here in the Magic Valley area, and this documentary is running on a lot of local media. And so I thought, it'd be fun to have Randy in, because I know Randy from way back. And I thought, we'll have Randy in, and he can talk about some of the history of this valley. I know a lot of people are interested in I don't think a lot of people realize this. The Magic Valley area is fairly unique worldwide because of the availability of water and because of some of the things we've been able to do in this area, because of the innovation of our pioneers, the canal system. I understand it's the largest canal system of its type in the world.
Yeah.
And, we're pretty unique. And a lot of people who've moved here recently, who don't really have any connections to the past, they don't realize this. They don't realize this is a unique. We raise more dry edible beans in this area than most other places in the world. I mean, look at the trout. And most of the trout that goes worldwide is raised right here. That's all because of the water. The water is truly most important.
How much water do we have? I mean, with our huge growth, huge companies, huge manufacturing, huge housing, how much water do you have left? Without water, you die.
And that is a concern and a consideration.
So we can ask Randy tomorrow.
There you go. So it should be fun. That's tomorrow right here on Top Story. We'll see you then. Goodbye, Jill.
Goodbye, Cal.